Good morning, everyone. Clayton Miller here with Makeover Homes, bringing you another fantastic FAQ for the day about the 203K renovation loan process, or conventional renovation loan process, depends on which way you go. Today's FAQ, the question is, what is the role of this HUD consultant? What's the HUD consultant for? Well, a lot of things, really. And unfortunately, this isn't described well enough by most lenders, most realtors, or most contractors if they've done it before. So this might be a little longer video, but buckle up, it needs to be told. Nobody really knows, not nobody, a lot of new buyers don't really know what they're signing up for when they hire a HUD consultant. So first and foremost, all HUD consultants have to go through the application process with FHA HUD. This means they have to basically fill out a form suggesting they know how to tackle, they know how to do all of the paperwork, they know how to review a home, they know how to review a bid, they know a handful of information that basically gives them the ability to review your projects for you and help you through this renovation loan process. So it goes through HUD, there's an application that has to be filled out, and HUD is who grants the actual HUD number and certification, we'll call it. Most of the time, these players are either home inspectors or contractors. They have to have at least 3 years of experience in one of those two roles in order to become qualified, if you will. You can also be an engineer. We don't really see a lot of those. Normally, it's home inspectors and contractors. When you call to order a HUD consultant, it means you're doing a renovation loan process. It could be an FHA job, could be conventional, could be VA, USDA. We help with all of them. But the main goal and the main use of the HUD consultant is to help you create your scope of work, letting you know what it is that you'd like to do, or helping you work through what you'd like to do on the house, but also helping you by telling you what you have to do to make sure that your renovation and the scope of work you're developing is going to pass the sniff test, if you will, of any of the types of loans you're going to be doing. So FHA loans and VA loans are treated similarly. There's a similar set of rules, similar things that need to be done to your house. USDA kind of falls in those lines as well. On a conventional side, there's options, and it kind of depends on, the consultant needs to talk to the lender and figure out what those rules are going to look like. So there's a little bit of massaging that needs to be done to figure that out. But basically, depending on the type of loan you do, your scope of work and what you have to do in your scope could change, and that consultant is helping guide you through that process. So they walk the house with you, they're going to take pictures, they're going to do measurements, and they're the eyes and ears for the bank, and then the consultant to you. So they're kind of formatting and reporting on the whole house. What's the current state of this home? And then, as I mentioned, they're going to walk with you room by room. What are we doing here? What would you like to do? And then what do you have to do? Because FHA or VA or USDA or conventional, because some lenders telling you have to do it. Okay, and we've already talked about how we come up with those rules. We develop that report. We can also develop a ballpark estimate. Okay, now although some of us are contractors, most are home inspectors, and as far as estimating goes, it's pretty well known out there that you can ask one contractor to get you a bid on job A. You ask another contractor to get you a bid on the same job. Those prices can be astronomically different because all contractors are able to do things at different prices, depending upon who they know, depending upon what kind of supplier hookups they've been able to gather. One contractor's price for drywall is not the same as another contractor's price for drywall. It can change based on maybe they've got a buddy, they've got a cousin, they've been doing it for 15 years and have a really good relationship with their drywall guy. So this drywall guy, hooks this contractor up and he can get the house done for 8, and he does everybody else for 12. It just depends on the contract you're working with. So I say all that to let you know that the estimate a HUD consultant can provide for you is merely an estimate. It's a ballpark. Now, it's not going to be wildly different, sure, hopefully, but in some instances it can be. Like I said, if I've got a really good HVAC relationship and I can get you a whole house HVAC system for 12 grand, the next guy might have to charge you 20. It just depends on the location, just depends on the GC that you end up talking to and working with. So again, we help you develop the scope of work. We can develop an estimate for you to help you through the process. And then the biggest part, and this is probably where the majority of the time is spent, is per these loans, the paperwork has to be delivered to your lender in a very specific format. Why this format, you ask? We don't really know. It's just because that's how somebody developed it a long time ago, and nobody has changed it, and the person who has to change it's way at the top. And getting those things to change, pretty difficult. So anyway, your bid has to be in a specific format. It has to include the proper items. It has to not include the proper items. It needs to be worded properly, be in the right order, and then be pushed into this paperwork called an SOR, or Specification of Repairs. And this is kind of the lender speak of your contractor's bid. So one of our jobs as the consultant is to take your contractor's bid in the best form we can get it in and try to get it into the proper form, into that SOR format for your lender, okay? Once it goes to the lender, job's done. But there's a lot of time spent back and forth with that contractor trying to get that bid looking good, feeling good, right numbers, making sure you understand what you're signing up for, prices look good, all the above. So the expertise and knowing what goes on the scope of work is one big factor. And then the time and the emails and the texts and the phone calls, that's another big factor, back and forth with you and your contractor to try to get that bid looking good in the right format. That's where a lot of the time comes in. Now, once it goes off to your lender, we get to breathe a little bit. Hopefully, the house appraises for what it needs to, and we can move on to closing in the next steps. But sometimes, the house doesn't appraise for what it needs to. And now we've got to work our way backwards and cut some things off of the bid and make sure we don't adjust the price of the home in doing so, the price of the appraisal in doing so, and that takes some expertise as well. What can we cut out of this bid to save 5, 6, 10, 15 grand, but we won't affect this appraisal as much and as bad? So that's another potential step that a HUD consultant is going to have to help with. And then after closing, life does get a little bit easier. It's the HUD consultant's job to show up from time to time at the borrower or the contractor's request to do what are called draw inspections. Now, a draw inspection is when we walk around, we take pictures of completed work. In some instances, we can take pictures of material and give money for material, but for the most part, we take pictures of installed items, completed work. We verify what those items cost based on the estimate that we helped the contractor put together. And we develop a report that says, hey lender, this contractor has completed these 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30 line items. Those line items are worth X dollars. Write the man a check. We have everybody sign it, we shoot it off to the lender. The lender writes the check and mails it to the contractor to get your contractor paid. So we're there to verify what's completed. We aren't quality police, or quality police. If, maybe their trim job, the miners don't meet up perfectly, that's not for us to police. We just want to make sure that it's there, it's done right. But as far as quality goes, that's for you guys. The look and the feel, that's the borrower's job. If you don't like how something feels, tell them about it. Have your contractor do it again, or ask them what can be done to make it look and feel right. Our job as the consultant is to make sure what the contractor said he was going to do is there. We're meeting code at the very least, for the most part. But even then, if something needed to be met by code, you're going to have a actual permit, likely, having been pulled for that product or for that service. And now the code enforcement office in your local district, in your community, whatever it might be, is going to be the one that ultimately stamps off on it. So we're there to make suggestions, we're there to consult, but we are not the judge and the jury, if you will. So we produce these draw inspections. It'll happen 3, 4, maybe 5 times per project, depending on how big your project is. Each of those times, again, we're going to come in, what's been completed, here's your report, here's your pictures, pay the contractor. The client, the contractor, and the consultant have to sign off on those reports each and every time, okay? And then the last piece of the puzzle that we take care of is change orders. So in all these projects, there's always something that comes up that wasn't on the original bid. Unforeseen item of some kind. There's a reserve, a contingency fee built into these loans. So we pull from that contingency fee to take care of the busted pipe behind the shower, to take care of the mold behind the drywall under a window that was leaking that we didn't know about. We use it to take care of all of the lack of insulation that somebody missed because we didn't have a home inspection done on this job. And when we demoed the drywall in the ceiling, we noticed there was no insulation in the roof. So it could be a handful of things that we didn't know were gonna be there. They're unforeseen issues. We use that reserve budget to do so. It's a consultant's job to make sure that what that money is being used for is being used properly. And again, we help develop the report. We help take those pictures, send those pictures off to the lender and say, hey, we ran into such and such issue. Contractor had to fix it. It's gonna cost XYZ. Here are the pictures to prove that it was done and done properly. So that is kind of a roundabout answer for you on what the role of the consultant is. Again, I know relatively long one here, but it's really not out there in one nice, concise video that just tells you what a consultant does, what we do, what we're for. So overall takeaways here, a consultant's job is to consult, is to help you come up with a scope of work for your project, maybe give you an estimate to let you know roughly what it could cost, know and have the experience to understand what needs to go on your bid to make sure that the lender and the loan is going to close with all the right specifications and formatting, all the above. And then once the project starts, we're kind of the progress report guys. We show up, we get pictures, make sure the project is moving along properly, get that contractor paid so that they want to show up again and keep getting your project done. So that is what a HUD consultant does. Great question to you and I don't know, thousands of folks that call and ask on a daily basis. Yeah, that's what a HUD consultant does. That's our main role here at Makeover. We can help you with that. We can help you with contractors. We can help you with a couple other things. If you need a good lender, we know a bunch of those as well. So if you're curious about this renovation loan game, the 203K, convention loan, whatever it might be, we can help you out here at Makeover. Give us a shout.